Let me tell you something, okay? I don't know who the fuck you think you are, but I don't work like this. You got that? And if you want to talk about reputations, and if by some fucking miracle long shot you haven't heard of my reputation, let me tell you the fuck I am. I am the fucking sultan of slick, Sadie. I am the rule of fucking cool. You want to be a gangster? You want to be a thug? You sit at my fucking feet, gather the pearls that emanate forth from me. Because I'm the fucking original straight, first, foremost, pimp, mac, fucking hustler, original gangster's gangster.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna go and get my stuff.
Hello and welcome to the fucking Bargain Binge podcast. I'm your fucking host, Dylan. It rhymes with Rillin. And along with me are these two brain-dead fucks. Who are you? Who are you, jackass? Who are you to me?
Hey guys, it's Evan here. You know what time it is? It's turkey time.
And with me, also,
is Aaron, and you guys know every podcast has 2 cows and a bull, and I'm one of the cows.
Who's the bull?
Evan.
Hell yeah.
Listen to his Chad energy right now.
Well, maybe in your personal relationship, Evan's your bull, but this isn't the place to talk about it, okay? So, this is a brief episode. We're, relaxed fit, just gonna chill, hang out. We don't have a Bargain Bin movie, but we do have another movie that I did get from similar to a Bargain Bin. I got this from the Salvation Army. This is Gigli. We're talking about Gigli today. Folks, it's gonna be quite an interesting adventure into one of the worst performing films of all time.
One of the worst received films of all time as well.
A movie that was, ripped out of theaters by its studio in, a couple weeks because of how fucking garbage everyone thought it was.
And they were right.
This is the first and last bad Sony Pictures movie.
Gigli, as it's known in the UK. So, I don't know.
Okay.
So, we don't normally say this, but, if you're sensitive to anything... this movie is pretty extreme.
The thing about this movie is it's offensive to, literally every single person. It's offensive to men and women and people with disabilities and...
gay people.
Yeah. It's...
Italians.
It hits every group.
BAYWATCH staff members.
Yeah, so if you don't like hearing people rag on things like that, which is the whole movie is that, proceed with caution. But this is the first installment in our series Spotlight September, and we'll be covering Gigli today. Gigli is one of the, like we said earlier, one of the biggest critical and financial flops of all time. Aaron, could you give us a little background on the release of Sony Pictures' Gigli?
Okay. Well, Gigli was supposed to be more of a crime film, but the Bennifer romance apparently was something they wanted to capitalize on at Revolution Studios and Columbia Pictures and Sony or whatever. So they re-edited and reshot and did all sorts of stuff to, emphasize that element. And it turns out that no one's gonna just watch a fucking movie in the year of our Lord 2003, because 2 people that they see on television are fuck in real life and in the film. So, it comes out to a disastrous fucking opening weekend. But the big fucking thing about it is that Sony just fucking gave up immediately because it was so embarrassing and just ripped it from theaters after 2 weeks.
That's a rare occurrence, isn't it? I have to assume that that's never really happened before.
Didn't that happen with Battlefield Earth?
Yeah. It has to be a very extreme thing for a studio to pull that. You have to be such a perfect storm of bad press, bad reviews, and low box office for a studio just to go, fuck it, whatever, get it out of the theater.
If they left it in there, they'll make some money. So they have to be really ashamed and embarrassed of the product to just rip it like that.
Yeah, the movie grossed $4 million opening weekend and only $600,000 on weekend 2.
Jesus.
All on a $75 million budget.
Okay, well, how the fuck did this cost $75 million?
Well, for one thing, you have these big name actors making cameos. You got Pacino and Walken.
It's just the actors, though, because the movie essentially takes place in one location, which is an apartment.
And then in just the exteriors of LA, which are standard
super
practice to
easy to get. Yeah.
You have to imagine, like, how many millions went to just Bennifer alone, and then odds and ends to Al fucking Pacino and Christopher Walken.
Apparently Jennifer Lopez was signed for $12 million.
So at least double that for Bennifer alone, and that is a third of your budget.
Just for Bennifer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Justin Bartha got a lot, too.
He deserves to have been paid more.
He does.
For what he had to do. Oh my god, because this is a disability exploitation film.
It is very much that. Every scene in the movie practically that features Justin Bartha's character is just like openly offensive and upsetting.
And then the ones that aren't too.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, because the framework of this film is that fucking Ben Affleck is some kind of vague mobster guy who
he's like an errand boy. Like, he does dirty work for mobsters, it seems.
Yeah, he will go break your fingers or whatever you owe money. But he's like, it's weird because they both depict him as being kind of a psycho and violent, but also, or like, actually, he won't kill you, even though his boss wants him to. And it just comes off really weird. It's like the film opens on him talking shit to a guy he shoved into a fucking industrial dryer.
And he turns around and some guy almost walks into the laundromat they're in.
Hey! Get the fuck out of here! What do you want to know about this? Get the fuck out of here! Take that shit to the dry cleaners! Now! Sorry. Long day. Where was I?
I just had to imagine, was the camera placed on the wrong side of him? Was that him addressing the audience?
Get the fuck out of here while you have the chance.
Go! Get out while you still can.
But he would have been talking to no one because the theaters were empty anyway.
Yeah, completely empty.
He would have been talking to a grandma, fast asleep.
Yeah, but yeah, so, he both, got really rough with that guy and threatened him with death. But then when he leaves, he's talked to his boss because he got half the money. And his boss is like, you only got half the money. You don't take half the money. You fucking kill him or whatever. So that it sends a message that you pay me back. And he's like, oh, sorry, boss.
Yeah, I mean, that is pretty standard mafia practice. I don't know, I don't know how he has had this job for any period of time getting half the money from that guy.
It seems like he's terrible at his job.
Yeah, he's incompetent at it, but his boss says,
you're supposed to be like this vicious fucking mad dog. I'm sorry.
Was he a mad dog? We never get anything in the movie that tells you, oh, he softened up, or this is why people think of him like this, or anything. It's just, oh, I guess he's just a moron.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the explanation of every character in the movie.
Is that, oh, they're just a moron?
Yeah. Oh, Christopher Walken's a cop. Oh, no, he's just a moron. Okay.
Yeah, every character is less intellectually cunning than the character who is supposed to have some sort of disability. Because he's the only character that gets what he wants in the whole entire movie by the end.
But yeah, so this shithead mobster guy, he gets told by his boss to go kidnap this indeterminately mentally disabled person.
And a certain individual, he's got a beloved relative with certain psychological defects. I want the relative gotten, all right? And I want him for the time being held on to.
Yeah, it's extremely vague what's actually wrong. I forget the character. I think it's Brian. Brian's the character's name. It's played by Justin Bartha of National Treasure fame. And that's about it. He's in the Hangover.
Riley.
He's in the Hangover movies as the guy who
brother
they're looking for,
and thus is not in the movies.
Thus has zero screen time. They're very vague about explaining. I think he just says he's brain damaged or something.
At one point, the only explanation is at one point he says,
"Yes, on my phone, brain damage."
I don't think that's what's up, dude, because he just cycles between Down syndrome, autism, Tourette's. Just name any sort of intellectual disability, and he has it at one point or another in the movie.
Yeah, like a Zoomer TikToker.
Oh yeah, he'd be making threads on Twitter these days.
Yeah, and so he happens to be the brother of a federal prosecutor.
A federal fucking prosecutor?
Then my brother is a federal fucking prosecutor.
You don't say.
Who's going to take down Ben Affleck's boss's boss, and so he has to kidnap him so they can lean on him, and that's it. That's pretty much where the story ends. Everything after that is just milling around.
Ben Affleck's boss does not trust Ben Affleck to do the job correctly, so he hires Ricky, who's played by J-Lo herself.
But you know what? Why don't you call Lewis and he'll explain everything to you?
I don't know that I know any Lewis.
Well, then I guess he hasn't called you to tell you he doesn't trust you with a task of this magnitude. That he feels the stakes are too high?
Nope.
Nope. Well, then I guess he also probably hasn't called to tell you that he would feel much more comfortable if there were two independent, unacquainted, perhaps even mutually hostile contractors working on this so they could keep an eye on one another?
She's there to keep an eye on everything. The theory is that they're both, hard-ass criminals, and so having them there will equal out, and then nothing bad will go wrong. Because they have to just sit and watch this disabled man for a few days. They're just babysitting him, essentially.
And so here's where the premise takes a nosedive. It's the romance between J-Lo and Affleck. Because it turns out that J-Lo's character is gay. She's a lesbian. And Ben Affleck's character cannot accept that.
What about me is not your type?
Your penis.
What does that mean?
It means I'm gay. It means I'm a lesbian.
So he, tries to swoon her and tries to, what's the phrase? Get her to hop over the fence, I think he says at one point. It's it's so viscerally uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's weird because it's he did that just a few years before with Chasing Amy, and just like Chasing Amy, J-Lo's character seems to be bisexual, but unlike Chasing Amy, she never actually ends up with Ben. But the whole movie's still about this romance, so it's just treading water and them just yelling at each other. Every line in this movie is yelled, by the way.
Take me home now. Stop. Hey! Fuck all you stupid fucker!
What?
What's the matter? Hey, late. Too
Ryan,
late.
what's wrong with you? Cut that out. Hey, cut it out. Stop. Stop. Be quiet. Stop doing it.
I'm going to BAYWATCH.
Ryan.
I'm going to BAYWATCH. I'm going to BAYWATCH.
All right.
And Ben Affleck calling Joseph Bortha slurs.
Listen to me, you little fucking eat your food.
Hey, enough!
Hey, no,
Easy
not
already.
enough.
Well, the thing is, as far as I understand, the original script did not really have the romance almost at all, and if it did, it was super downplayed. So that was something the studio forced into the movie because they wanted to highlight their fucking relationship in real life.
Yeah, they went back and reshot, like, most of the movie, and you can tell, because there's just, like, one scene where they're arguing, and the scene where Christopher Walken comes into Ben Affleck's apartment, like, suddenly the lighting changes, and it looks a little bit more cinematic. Like, okay, how much of this is the original versus the reshot version? It's... movies like this are always fun because they're like a puzzle.
Yeah, they're fascinating because you want to know what was intended originally and you want to know what was added in later. Usually, like you said, it can be obvious, but sometimes it's not. So you're always questioning, what is it?
Yeah, like, was Christopher Walken's character supposed to be even a small player in the plot, or was he always a weird one-scene cameo that contributes nothing?
Yeah, I want to talk about this Christopher Walken scene while we're on it. So, they're just, like, hanging out at Ben Affleck's apartment, as they do for most of the movie, and Christopher Walken knocks on the door, so they have to hide the disabled man that they're taking care of, or I guess you could call it that.
J-Lo's taking care of him, and Affleck's just yelling at him.
Yeah.
Literally, like, physically intimidating him and pushing him against the wall.
Why don't you do me a favor and just act fucking normal for a minute?
You're just like Elliot.
Just
You're
for a
in
minute.
trouble for that.
Huh?
You're like Elliot over there.
I know you understand what I'm talking about. Just fucking be normal,
telling you-
okay?
I'm telling you over there.
Not fucking
I'm telling you.
crazy. Normal. How about if I smack you in the fucking head, huh?
Hey! Leave him alone. What are you doing? We're supposed to watch him, not slap him around.
But Christopher Walken comes in, and he's just like a detective on the local police force. And he just starts talking at them. And the whole scene is just a one-way conversation where Christopher Walken is saying things.
And Affleck just staring at him with, like, no expression on his
Yeah,
face.
at most going, and then being interrupted.
And something I found fascinating about this Walken scene is that he's doing Pacino. Like, he's just straight up doing the rhythm and, like, playing the scene from start to finish like Pacino does.
Huh. Yeah, I never put that together, but yeah, that's accurate.
And I would also argue that Pacino in his scene is doing Walken. So it's just like, did they switch the roles last minute or something? It's so weird. They're like doing impressions of each other. It's kind of cute.
It's actually a Freaky Friday situation. I like how Christopher Walken is blocked, or the way he acted. I don't know if it was actually blocked, but I like the way where he walks in, pulls out a chair, sits down in it. The second his butt touches the chair and he says a line, he stands up, walks all the way across the room to nothing, talks, walks all the way back, sits back down in the chair. The second he says a line, he stands back up, and then walks up to Ben Affleck, finishes the scene, then just stares at him blankly at the door for like 10 full seconds, then leaves.
It's like baffling because you've never seen this
blocking.
character before. You don't know who he is.
You never see him again.
You never see him again after the one scene. You don't know what his relationship to Ben Affleck is at all.
Yeah, what does he know him on a first name basis?
Yeah, because he's treating him like they're like buddies. It's so bizarre, like what his intentions are. I mean, he says he's trying to find out what happened to this federal prosecutor's son, who they're hiding in the next room over because Ben Affleck shooed him away like an animal.
Yeah, and it's a disabled guy who never does what they want, except sometimes, because he's like, just stay in this room and be quiet, and then he is absolutely silent for the entire duration of this conversation, and like at other points will do anything but what they tell him.
Like, I get wanting to work with Christopher Walken or whatever. It's just like, what is this part? It's also like completely editable out of the movie. Like, it just doesn't mean anything.
If you sat there and looked at the cut of this movie, I would think that scene specifically would be the first thing to hit the cutting room floor.
Yeah, the conversation is just a complete cul-de-sac and almost refers to nothing. That's the actual conflict of the plot. It has almost nothing to do with anything. It just vaguely is like, the DA is gonna, whatever, against your boss. It's so strange.
It's just a vehicle for Christopher Walken to say things with the most baffling and funny tone and performance that I've like ever seen.
Yeah, the audience now needs to hear the part where he tells Ben Affleck that he was going to go to Marie Callender's and pour ice cream on his head, and then he would slap his own brain out trying to get to it.
Man, you know what I'd love to do? Right now? Go down to Marie Callender's. Get me a big bowl. Pie, some ice cream on it. Good. Put some on your head. Your tongue would slap your brains out trying to get to it. Interested? Sure.
So this scene in particular is a lot of what made me think of this, but this movie on rewatch reminds me a lot of Tommy Wiseau's 2003 film The Room, because like The Room, it takes place in a room. One or two characters appear in this. It's not as like Grand Central Station like in The Room per se, but it's just they sit there and they wait for something to happen, just like The Room. And you mentioned it, Aaron, but the blocking also is very Room-esque in that there is none.
Yes.
The entire scene at the beginning where Ben Affleck's boss Lewis is giving him instructions on what he's going to do is just them standing on a street corner. And like they just at one point they walk across the street toward the camera and then start standing on the street corner adjacent. And every single scene is blocked like this. Like no one moves. They're just like someone just turned off like their movement in God mode or something, and they're just planted on the floor.
The blocking is NPC-esque.
Yeah, and like it has like most of the films that you will watch that are blocking this bad also don't have narrative momentum of like a character. Usually, a lot of times, blocking is informed by like, oh, we have to go over here, or we're doing this, but they're never doing anything.
Yeah, they're just sitting around the apartment, so there's no reason for there to be blocking.
There's next to no physical action, despite this being a mob movie with life and death stakes. There's no action whatsoever. Not a single gunfight or car chase.
It's very dry in that department. There's like one scene, which we'll get to later, but yeah, it's not a mob movie at all.
It's a mob movie in that there are mob people, and Ben Affleck has a weird Italian name.
But I think it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it was supposed to be. So it's like, where did those scenes go? There had to have been some at some point, right?
This movie is written and directed by Martin Brest, and he's directed good movies. He directed Midnight Run, which is, as far as I'm aware, regarded as a classic. I love that movie. I think it's very well written and put together. The actors have good chemistry. It's very entertaining.
Yeah. He had quite a career. There, he did fucking Beverly Hills Cop, Midnight Run, Scent of a Woman. Like, Scent of a Woman is like Oscar winning and everything. He had quite a career leading up to this movie, and you know what? This is the last movie he ever directed.
Yeah. I wonder why. But it's baffling. I just have to think that a lot of the awful decisions in the final product were not present in the script.
It seems to be in his wheelhouse because, like, you know, it has a buddy element to it. Just kind of like a fun sort of two main characters playing off of each other idea. And then there's also disability exploitation with it, which is well within the wheelhouse of Oscar bait. As redone as this is, the disabled character was always a part of it. This was always the plot.
Well, see, this is why I'm so conflicted. Because it's like, yeah, that had to have always been in there, and that stuff is really fucked up. But yeah, I don't know. This it's just so bizarre.
Every single choice is just confusing. And it's just constantly like moments where like, oh, the actor decided to do this during the shot and just did it. There's a scene where they're like hanging out at some sort of outdoor restaurant and they're eating, and these hoodlum youths are playing hip-hop music from a boombox, and they confront the kid, and Ben Affleck yells at them, and then they finally like get out of the conversation because J-Lo threatens them with some like improvised monologue about some sort of martial art where she's gonna rip the kid's eye out.
You ever heard of Thai Muay Chai? No. Okay. In traditional Thai Muay Chai, there are 5 levels of digital orb extrusion. That's the gouging out of your opponent's eyeball with one's finger. Now, the highest and most difficult to master is my personal favorite, Kai Toi Mai. Loosely translated, that's the rip that takes the past. Now, once the thumb liquefies the eye, it is deftly and immediately replaced by the forefinger. Deep thrust, hooking around, and securing the ocular nerve. And then removing it with such force as to bring with it, by suction, a vital portion of the visual cortex. The part of the brain, as I'm sure you may know, that stores visual memory.
And it's like, okay, they got out of that scot-free, no big deal. But then it ends with Ben Affleck grabbing one of the kids' laptops and snapping it on his knee.
Telling them to go to suckmydick.com.
Nice computer. Is suckmydick.com.
There's a collection of scenes that go nowhere and mean nothing and don't contribute to a larger story.
One of my favorite is J-Lo's girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or whatever.
Oh, God.
Oh, this one's so...
Yeah, because fucking Ben Affleck and her are talking or whatever, and then fucking this woman just like bursts into the home wearing like leather clothes and stuff to depict to you that she's a lesbian.
She's gay. Look, she's wearing leather.
And then she just like is like, "Are you fucking this guy? You know, I could have fucked him with you. You know, if you wanted to experiment with dudes, I could have been there with you. What the fuck?"
This is a professional situation, and you have no right to intrude here.
What kind of professional situation? I can't believe this. A fucking man? I mean, this? You need this? You need like a little freedom or something? You want to dabble? We can all fuck. You know, we can all have sex together. That's fine.
And then Ben Affleck screams in her face like super hard for like a long, uncomfortable time about her entering his home.
Mind your own fucking business.
Shut the fuck up.
Blow me.
Listen, both of you shut up.
I don't give a fuck what she knows. This ain't fucking lesbian talk circle time. We got something to do. You're getting the fuck out. Got it?
This mentally unstable woman.
They just get into a yelling match.
Yeah, and then J-Lo's like begging him to stop, but then also yelling at her and also yelling at him. It's just chaos. It's like hard to sit through.
Yeah, that part's like uncut gems.
And then, beautifully, she simply walks to the kitchen, pulls out a knife, and slits both of her wrists.
See, I'm gonna kill myself right now, and you care. You care because you love me.
Shut the fuck up, all right?
Hey. Oh no, fucking that. Oh no.
Woo!
Oh no.
Woo!
Oh no.
What did you do? Is that enough for you, baby?
Oh my
All right, get away from me.
Stop.
Fuck away from me. What's wrong with you?
Oh my
the
God.
fuck is this?
Lady needs some band-aids.
Just completely nonchalantly, like in a flat comedy type shot, pulls out a knife and slits both of her wrists in one fell swoop. You know, Because gay people have trauma that they deal with and are all suicidal maniacs or something. And that just goes to, like, the complete lack of tact in how they approach everything. Because, like, we've already talked about the mentally disabled guy, but, like, you know, suicidal lesbian trope, and constantly just, like, the way that Ben talks to Jennifer about being gay, and, like, how he seems to think it's a choice. And he calls her slurs.
He calls her a Dicosaurus Rex.
Oh my God.
He does call her Dicosaurus Rex.
She's a stone cold dyke. A fucking untouchable, unhavable, unattainable brick wall fucking Dicosaurus Rexi.
There's a really weird element in the film because it's not elaborated on very much, where J-Lo thinks that Ben Affleck's overcompensating because he's gay. And, like, some of their interactions, including her fucking him, is like help him, like, discover that he's overcompensating.
Are you gay?
No, I'm not gay. I am not gay. Why do you look at me and think I'm gay? I am not fucking gay.
That doesn't come back, and it's never, like, he doesn't actually ever have, like, an epiphany. Oh, I'm gay. It's never brought up again.
Oof, yeah. I'm a fucking fanook. Gabagool.
Gabagool. He just, like, Larry Gigli is one of the most unlikable protagonists in cinematic history.
I'm struggling to think of one that's more unlikable. I think he just might be the most unlikable protagonist in cinematic history.
He should just be confident enough to be like, I'm not gay, or whatever, but it just becomes a struggle he has throughout the whole movie until it stops being talked about just suddenly. And it's like, do you think this man's gay? Because every single person that walks into his apartment says, dude, this place is trash. This is ugly as fuck. You don't have anything in here. You just got a TV, you fucking loser.
His giant apartment with nothing in it is kind of funny.
It is a big space.
It's a very big space.
And while they're committing all of these crimes, like, all their windows are just wide open. Like a fucking Michael Mann movie or something. It's just open to the courtyard of the apartment complex. It's like any of their neighbors could have seen everything.
Do you think that they're, like, one of Ben Affleck's neighbors was just awkwardly standing there looking in the window as that woman went and slit her wrists and they were, like, yelling at each other?
Wow, this another day at fucking Geely's house, am I right?
Okay, one of the things I find fascinating, and I didn't really know how to describe it until I was just rewatching it, like, a little bit ago, is that there are parts, because the score for this film is, like, incredibly inappropriate.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
I specifically just want to mention real quick, what happens is Larry will be a piece of garbage to Brian, like a complete piece of shit to him. But then he will realize that he needs to keep things calm or not draw attention or something. And then he will try to manipulate him in a very open way. Where it just is like, okay, I'll do what you fucking want, you idiot, whatever. And he like, just does it. But when he relents slightly, only to be manipulative to this person that he's kidnapped, the music kicks in like it's like he's softening as a person moment, and it's not.
Yeah, every time. He, like, actively lies to him just to get him to go to bed, and the, like, music starts, like, sweeping and becomes delicate.
I want to go home.
Can't go home right now. Eat your food.
I want to go home.
How you gonna go to the Baywatch tomorrow if you go home?
The whole reason that Larry's able to kidnap Brian in the first place is that he convinces Brian that he will take him to the Baywatch.
I have to go to the Baywatch.
I'm sorry, what?
I have to go to the Baywatch. I was gonna go.
You wanna watch Baywatch? Roll by my apartment. We'll turn on Baywatch.
You stupid person, you stupid person. That television, the Baywatch.
Oh. The Baywatch.
Yeah, the Baywatch.
You wanna go now?
To the Baywatch.
Yeah. I'm going there. I was on my way.
Yes, I would.
All right.
Yes, I would.
Let's go.
My interpretation was like, does he just want to go watch lifeguards sit on their tower all day?
There's an element where he's like, all the people who are at the Baywatch, they're hot, you know.
Yeah, he just wants sexy beach girls. He's just like, that's it. He likes Pamela Anderson or whatever.
So as he's driving with Brian in his car, Brian keeps being like, when are we going to the Baywatch? Let's go to the Baywatch. We're going to go to the Baywatch. Larry pulls out a fucking flashlight, a like large metal flashlight, holds it to his ear, pretending it's a phone. Then he pretends to have a conversation with the people who are making Baywatch.
Hey, wait a minute. You hear that now? What is that? You hear that?
Oh.
Yep, it's my walkie-talkie calling. Yeah, hello. Hey, I told you don't ever bother me again when I'm taking trips with my friends. Yep. What? No, we're going to the Baywatch. Yep, that's right, the Baywatch. Huh? No. Holy mackerel. Would you know when they're going to be open again? Okay. We'll call you tomorrow for the update. Okay. You like that? Baywatch is closed today.
And he does it in front of J-Lo later, and she doesn't, like, say anything. Like, that's fucked up, dude.
I also like that he immediately pulls out his cell phone after he does the bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he doesn't even respect him enough to do the bit into a phone, which he has.
Yeah, it's like, why would you not do it into a phone? It's like he did that just to, like, shit on him to the audience? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like just to mock a disabled guy to no one. And I don't get why you'd include that in the movie.
Yeah, you know, the protagonist of your movie should belittle the LGBTQ community, the disabled community, through existing, be a slight on Italians. Because everyone in this movie, for some reason, even though it's in LA, everyone's a New York Italian in this mob.
Another fantastic scene is when we diverge from the quote-unquote plot to go to Larry's mom's house.
Oh my god.
Because Larry has promised his mom he's gonna give her Botox injections with a needle in her ass. It's like, is this just the thing you do with your mom? Like, what? She's like, Larry, you gotta give me my shot.
She plays like the stereotypical Italian mom, and he's like, Mom, I don't have fucking time to do this. And she's like, oh, I had time to raise you.
Look, Ma, if Mrs. Leonard isn't around, you're gonna have to call a doctor sometimes. I can't just drop everything and show up here all the time, okay?
What, and I didn't drop everything for you? Oh, I'm so sorry, Larry. I can't change your diaper now. You're gonna have to call Mrs. Leonard.
And then she's like, who is your friend here? Wow, she's attractive.
He's like, Ma, come on, Ma. You're embarrassing me, Ma.
Ma.
Oh, shut up. I didn't say anything. I think you two make a very cute couple, though.
Huh?
What? What's with the ma? Ma. Stop already with the ma.
Yeah, she's like talking about how like he normally brings low-class women or something.
You should see some of the pigs he's brought by. I mean, not that they were pigs per se. It's just that, by and large, they were what I would call insignificant women. You, I could tell right off the bat, you seem to be of some substance.
Excuse me, miss, where's the men's room?
Ma, she's a lesbian.
Eh? Guess what?
What?
She's a lesbian.
And then his mom is like, oh, okay. And then she starts like hitting on her.
Yeah, she starts trying to fuck J-Lo.
What are you two talking about?
Oh, never mind. We know what we're talking about. Am I right, sweetheart?
You're right.
You know, I wasn't always just Larry's mother. I used to be quite experimental. You know? Oh, Jesus Christ. Look who's not up to the minute now, big boy.
We're going. Brian, come on, we're going. That's it. What the...
It's just like every scene that happens is just, you're just wriggling in your seat. This is one of the most, like, gallows movies ever made. It just makes you want to die. It's absurd.
But, like, in the best way possible.
It's so fascinating that you just can't... It's a train wreck. You can't look away.
Yeah, no, this was like an instant classic for me when we watched it originally. It's just like... Because I had no idea what this was actually about.
It's called Gigli, for fuck's sakes. And it's not, you don't even know how to pronounce that when you read it, which has to contribute a little bit to the box office.
And that's a joke in the movie itself where everyone doesn't know how to pronounce his name.
It's Gigli, by the way. What? My name is pronounced Gigli. It rhymes with really. Is that right? That's so. Yeah. All right, well, I'll remember that for the next time.
It's just like, it's like the worst title of all time, one. But two, it's just like I always just knew this was the Bennifer movie. I didn't know it was in it. And it's like, I had no way coming into this to know that it was, A, the Bennifer romance is psychotic because she's like a lesbian and he's the worst human on earth. And two, that it's mostly also about a guy being disabled. How do you make this movie and, like, market it to an audience as, like, a romantic comedy?
Yeah, well, while you were just saying that, I just peeked at the back of this DVD box, and I want to read this because this is probably how it was sold to people. Small-time street hood Larry Gigli has the reputation for big-time screw-ups. Ricky is a tough gal gangster. When they're paired together on an assignment that careens wildly out of control, will they find their way to work together and put their personal differences aside and work on their mutual attraction? And that's it. No mention of the disabled guy. It's not a plot. Like, we've suggested that, but it's not. Like, all it is they tell him, you gotta watch this guy. And then they introduce the element of Bennifer Aflopez. And then that's it. Then it just only comes to an end when they're interrupted for fucking something up. And then the movie's over.
I think we have to talk about the scene where J-Lo's doing yoga.
Oh, yes. To introduce this, I feel like the reshoots, like, they just handed the camera off metaphorically to J-Lo and Ben and said, yeah, just do whatever the fuck you want. Because a lot of the conversations that they have in this movie just feel like something that they talked about, like a bedroom talk, like after they've had sex. And it's just... like, this scene in particular feels 100% like that. And Ben walks in on J-Lo, and she's doing yoga. And he starts confronting her once again, like he always does, about her being a lesbian. And hey, don't you want to have sex with a man?
He tries to make the case to her that men are biologically engineered to satisfy women the best.
Okay, when it comes to pleasing a woman, your girlfriends, they're at a natural disadvantage. It's like they might try hard, but they're just not backed up. Millions of years of genetic engineering, programming, instinct. Nature has evolved man for that purpose. Satisfy. Lead the pack. That's why these lesbians are always going out buying, spending all their dough on, sexual appliances, erotic monkey wrenches and shit, trying to compensate for what they don't have. They're not getting. Penis.
And then the conversation turns to, are penises or vaginas better?
Yeah, where she calls a penis like a salty sea slug.
Now, as far as your famous penis goes, the penis is like some sort of bizarre sea slug or like a really long toe.
And then J-Lo just has this enormous, like, multi-minute long monologue about vaginas.
One's first impulse is to kiss. What? To kiss the lips. Firm, delicious lips, sweet lips. Surrounding a warm, moist, dizzyingly scented mouth. That's what everyone wants to kiss. Not a toe, not a sea slug, a mouth. And why do you think that is, stupid? Because the mouth is the twin sister, the almost exact look-alike of the what? Not the toe. The mouth is the twin sister of the vagina. And all creatures big and small seek the orifice, the opening to be taken in, engulfed, to be squeezed and lovingly crushed by what is truly the all-powerful, all-encompassing. No, if it's design you're concerned with, hidden meanings, symbolism, and power, well, forget the top of Mount Everest, forget the bottom of the sea, the moon, the stars. There is no place, nowhere that has been the object of more ambitions, more battles, than the sweet, sacred mystery between a woman's legs that I am proud to call my pussy.
I think H.P. Lovecraft wrote that dialogue.
I mean, he saw pussies to be the cosmic monsters of his book. So yeah, I guess so.
I like to believe that somehow H.R. Geiger saw Gigli. Like, somehow was transported through time and saw Gigli.
And said, wow, my work on this earth has been done. And it ends with, like, her just being like, blah, 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 and that's why I'm proud to call it a pussy.
As she has her legs spread, like, wide open. And the whole time, Larry is just, like, staring at her, like, essentially drooling.
This is all theoretically also in view of the mentally disabled man who is in the one room over in an open floor plan.
I just like the idea of it cutting away to him just, like, sitting in the dark, like listening to the conversation.
Maybe his penis is sneezing. There's a scene where, so yeah, like we said, the disabled guy, his whole thing for the movie is he just wants to get pussy. Like, he just wants tail. That's his entire goal in life. He, is a Christian type figure. He just can't get it.
Somehow that makes him the most likable character.
And
he is.
And at one point he's like, I just love women so much. They make my penis sneeze.
He's like the ones the BAYWATCH. Yeah. They make my penis sneeze.
Yeah, that's a line in this movie.
I say, bless you, penis. Bless you.
Jesus fucking Christ. God bless you.
Thank you.
No, not you, stupid. When my penis sneezes, I say, God bless you. God bless you, penis.
And then Larry's like...
You got a good sense of humor. You know that?
Yeah, and then Larry comes in J-Lo later and then says, bless you, to his own penis.
God bless your penis.
What'd you say?
Nothing.
It's like, on one hand, it's trying to be, like, quaint and be like, aw, this guy doesn't know what sex is. But then it also opens up the idea that he just, without any sort of control, ejaculates. And that just sits in my mind permanently now.
It lives there rent-free.
At Chew. And this is during a scene where, I wanted to detail this one. So they take J-Lo's ex-lover to the hospital after she slit her wrists. And, like, of course, Ben Affleck had to get one last jab in, and he's like, good fucking bitch, whore, fuck. I'm glad to fuck. Too bad she didn't die. And, but then they get a call from Lewis, the boss. And he's like, I'm going to need you to cut off that motherfucker's thumb. I'm going to need you to cut off that fucking disabled guy's thumb and send it to the federal prosecutor. So they're like, this is where we stop being bad people. We're not going to cut off this disabled man's thumb.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with calling him slurs every second of every day. But like, yeah, I'm not gonna cut off his thumb.
And so they're like, well, we're at the hospital. Let's go into the morgue and steal a thumb in a just like classical comedy bit. Like, they're like distracting the guard and it's like awkward to cut off the thumb.
Yeah, he uses up the plastic knife, which is like, there's no way that would ever cut through even skin, I think, let alone bone.
But then it's revealed that the thumb, like they immediately found out the thumb wasn't his thumb.
Because they fingerprinted it?
Yeah, like I guess he's been fingerprinted before, and they just had that on him. That's, I don't know, I feel like I
don't really understand that. But
I was
whatever.
completely convinced that the thumb stealing scene was a reshoot thing, because it's just so tonally strange. But it's like one of the few things that's confirmed to be in the original movie, because it's part of Al Pacino's conversation.
While tonally dissonant is one of the only scenes where the characters do anything, so I guess that does have to be in the original script.
That scene feels like it's out of like Reanimator or something.
Come on, help me get him.
Is he dead?
Of course. Will you give me a hand here? Now, he interrupted an important experiment in progress. Granted, it was an accident, but this is the freshest body that we could come across, save of killing one ourselves. And every moment that we spend talking about it costs us results. Now, will you give me a hand?
You gotta remove this guy's thumb and going through the comedic list of, like, utensils you have, and you land on a plastic knife. It's just like, does that sound like something that belongs in this theoretical mob movie?
It doesn't belong in either version of the movie. The mob version or the romance version.
Yeah, so even the stuff, like, there's stuff that doesn't even adhere to either version, so it's just the most confounding goddamn movie. Because it's like, it's not just the two versions, it's like 15 other things as well.
Certain other, like, movies that were destroyed in production, you can just like super feel the exact lines, like in Fan Four Stick, the Fantastic Four reboot film from like 6 years ago. You can tell if it's a reshoot shot because one of the actresses has to wear a bad wig because she cut her hair. So you know every time that she's wearing that wig, it's a fucking reshoot. You know that if Henry Cavill has some fucking jank upper lip, it's a reshoot. But here, I just don't know what the fuck the real movie was. It's, like, indiscernible.
It's such a jumbled mess, it's hard to tell.
And despite all of this, it still maintains an exact, like, 2 hours up to the credits runtime. It's like, you could have at least made this shorter if you knew you had such a fucking piece of shit in the cutting room at the end of it. But it's just, it goes on, and I don't want to make it sound like that's what makes this movie dreadful, because it stays interesting. It's the individual parts of it that make you just so uneasy.
And it's just interesting because it's like one of the least cinematically shot movies I've like ever seen outside of like 2 bits. But the cinematographer shot fucking 8mm, and he's Paul Thomas Anderson's cinematographer for most of his films.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Yeah, this looks like shit.
Yeah, it looks like a one-camera sitcom. Like, that's the amount of quality you're seeing with the setups and the lighting. It is so just like run-and-gun style cinematography that you have to wonder how, like, it was ever supposed to look like that.
The man fucking shot Nightcrawler, and he made this. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's just nuts. And I think this was mentioned in our flops episode, but I will forever be shocked to my core about the fact that the fucking composer for this is, like, the composer of the top, like, 10 financial disaster movies you can think of. I don't know how the fuck that happens, but it's like, oh, wow, this guy did the fucking Road to El Dorado. He did Gigli. He did fucking Pluto Nash.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
Possibly the biggest flop of all time. But then he's also the primary composer for DreamWorks in general. So it's...
Yeah, I think, didn't he do Shrek or something?
Yeah. and How to Train Your Dragon and stuff, but he also did Solo.
Oh.
Who is this man?
If you want to make an over-budgeted flop, you fucking call this man up so you can score it for you. John Powell. Yeah. This motherfucker just scored, like, the fucking biggest disasters, like, humanly possible.
Yeah, but also... Pan?
Yeah, Pan.
He scored the biggest disasters, but also, like, really good movies, too.
Yeah, and it's not like he does necessarily bad scores for the bad movies.
The score is not bad. It's just wildly out of place and inappropriate for the content of this movie.
It feels like music, or like something that would accompany something that isn't a big blockbuster at the very least. It feels like television level, where, you know, you have to pump out music for like 13 episodes in one go, so you just kind of stick to like 2 themes and just pump it out. But this immediately like jumps out, the music jumps out at you, because the Columbia logo plays, and the typical score from the movie, like for the most part, like the lighthearted, like jaunty stuff that's driven by a guitar and very basic string instruments, and then that cuts out, and then a dramatic song starts playing as soon as the credits start rolling. It starts playing one type of music and then changes entirely within like seconds, and it just goes to show that, like, if you're a composer who's handed this movie, you're not going to know what the fuck to do. Because a lot of it rides on him to, like, have any sort of tone. And that's why you have the scenes where Ben Affleck is manipulating the guy, and it's supposed to be, the music is playing it as, like, sentimental. It's like, you gotta do something. Like, you gotta accompany it with something, so then you just go to the well like, I don't know what they're doing, so I guess I'll make this sentimental.
I guess if he made the music match the scenes and the content itself, it would make it even more uncomfortable.
Yeah, if you were scoring it, like, just straight up, like what the movie is, it would be, like, irreversible.
Because if this, like, leaned into the fact that Gigli's being a piece of shit monster in, like, every scene, then it would be like, how could you sit through this?
So I guess all this to say that Mr. Powell is the MVP of this movie, I guess, because he was given way too much shit, and he did what he could. To wrap it up, I guess, so, like I said, they're just kind of sitting in Ben Affleck's apartment for the whole movie until Lewis is like, I gotta meet with you. And, you know, this is so well written that Lewis meets up with them to then tell them that they have to meet up with his boss, who is played by Al Pacino. And so they rock up to Al Pacino's mansion, and they get out, and they sit down with him, and he starts lecturing them about how they fucked up because the thumb didn't match the thumbprints. To quote The Big Lebowski,
where the fuck are they going to get...
You want a toe? I can get you a toe. Believe me. There are ways, dude. You don't want to know about it, believe me.
Yeah, but Walter...
Hell, I can get you a toe by 3 o'clock this afternoon with nail polish.
And Al Pacino sits them down, and he just starts berating them. And like the Christopher Walken scene, he's just talking at them. And they have no sort of recourse. They don't say anything back to him.
Yeah, they don't say a single thing. It's not a conversation. It's just a monologue of him yelling and pacing back and forth.
I like the part where he says,
Sit. I say everything twice. In, sit.
Where it's clear that Al Pacino made like a little joke about his own dialogue, but then they just left it in the movie.
Well, they wanted to have, like, literally every second he was on screen stay in the movie, because that wasn't cheap to get him there.
Yeah, so after berating them for their fuck-up...
Mr. Starkman. I know my fucking name! You piece of shit!
He quite nonchalantly just shoots Lewis in the head.
But the absolutely most intimidating, in my opinion, when an individual just doesn't give a shit. Lewis, you want to go to medical school? Medical school? Yes! Students there can always use something to learn on. I feel like I'm floating. I don't give a shit. I don't.
The one moment of like on-screen violence that has happened to this point, and it is like severely disturbing because like the fish start eating his brain matter as Bennifer just stare in horror. I don't know if this is a theory or confirmed, but like it seems that this scene is supposed to have ended with Ben and J-Lo getting killed themselves, or at least mortally wounded.
Yeah, I believe the original version of it was supposed to be J-Lo dies and Gigli gets shot.
Yeah, and then he barely crosses the finish line for the next scene in the movie.
He does one final act and then dies, knowing that he did like something okay for once, which is at least an ending.
Yeah, it would be an ending. It'd be like extremely like confusing because nothing happens and then all of a sudden these assholes die. But in the final version, the scene just ends. It ends on a shot of Al Pacino just reacting to them.
They managed to talk their way out of being killed themselves by Al Pacino by saying, we're going to fix this. And I think it would be unwise to kill us. So please let us go.
Then it just hard cuts them driving off because he for some reason fell for that. And they have no intention of ever going back because why would they?
And you'd have to imagine in the original scene, Al Pacino's like, shut the hell up, and then shoots them, because why would you not do that?
The movie backed itself into a corner purposefully because that was the idea, because they were supposed to fucking get killed. But it's left in the movie with the same framework, but then it just cuts. And it's so weird. Because it implies that he's just stupid. As I said earlier, everyone just turns out to be a dumbass. I will say, I like the fact that Al Pacino explains that the plot of the movie never made any sense.
You don't try to extort a federal fucking prosecutor. And if you do, you don't fuck around.
I like that he admits or states that that's insane and that's why he killed Lewis, because it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He's a fucking fed. You can't fucking do that shit. It's weird because you just watched 100 minutes of movie that were about that, and then he's just like, lol, that was stupid as shit. And then they go, oh, can we leave? And he's like, oh, I guess.
He doesn't even really say that, because like I said, it just ends on a reaction shot. He just like looking at them dumbfounded that she's even trying to get out of it, which, clearly then he would kill them, and then cut to them in a car with their kidnappee. But then it ends with just them driving and talking in scenes that clearly went in a different part of the movie, because if you look closely, you can see in the back of Gigli's car that there is just boxes and boxes of liquor that I assume was a plot point at some point, but they're just sitting there for no reason.
They go to a gas station and he picks that shit up. You see him with those boxes and he puts them in the car, but it's never mentioned at all. And so it's really confusing.
Yeah, they're just sitting there. It's like, I assume at some point he was getting that for someone.
Or something, but yeah, instead, okay, the thing here is that they drive off and they're just riding down the fucking road with a bunch of alcohol in their car for some reason. And then Brian looks to the side and is like, oh shit, it's the Baywatch.
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god. They're open! Oh my god! Oh my god, they're open! Oh my god, oh my god!
Ryan, what?
They're open! Oh my god, oh my god! They're open! They're open! Oh my god! The Baywatch! The Baywatch! The Baywatch! They're open! They're open! They're open!
That's the Baywatch?
They're open! They're open! The Baywatch! It's the Baywatch! It's the Baywatch! Hello there!
And it looks like they're shooting something, possibly actually Baywatch, maybe just a commercial, but they have like, sexy ladies, and stuff. So he's like, oh shit, it's here. I finally have been brought to the Baywatch.
Yeah, it's like you assume that he just wants to go to the beach, and then it ends up being, I feel like you're supposed to think that it's just Baywatch, and it's just like, what? What? Was that the intention the whole time? Was that he always wanted to go see Baywatch filming? How did he know that? What the fuck?
I don't know.
I think it's just he wanted to see the sexy ladies on TV in real life. Like, I think that was the thought process. But the thing is here, if you want someone to even vaguely like Larry Gigli, he needs to go, oh, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I'll bring you to this thing. But instead, there's like 5 full minutes of Brian going, take me to the Baywatch, and him going, no. Fuck off.
I'm sorry, we can't stop.
Larry, we're here. Come
Larry,
on.
we're here. We're right here. Wait. We got something now. We're right here. Brian. Larry. Brian. Larry. Brian. Larry. Brian.
Larry.
Wait a second. Wait. So turn around now, okay?
Finally, after being screamed at, he pulls the car over, and they go and like watch from a distance the filming of Baywatch.
And he's complaining about it the whole time.
Can't believe they have to go to the fucking Baywatch.
Was it intended for him to be the worst person who's ever lived? Because I don't think so.
I mean, if he dies, then I guess?
Yeah, because I think in the original cut it's supposed to be, yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. But in death, he's doing this, like, he's doing right by this person who's never had someone really do right by them. So it's like a thing. But as is, he's a piece of shit the whole movie, and then he's still a piece of shit after.
Yeah, it could have at least been played like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, but it isn't even that. There's no redemptive moment for him.
Yeah, what's his character arc? Because he doesn't soften up as a human being. He also doesn't come to terms with himself as being gay. It's like, what's the resolution for his character?
Yeah, and JLo's character is that she's a cool badass who doesn't need to change. So but no one develops. Brian just wants to watch Baywatch, and that's all he has. So listen to an Australian woman's voice on say the weather.
Another chilly night in Melbourne's outer suburbs with the mercury in
Hey,
many areas.
what are you doing now?
Viewbank and Avalon falling as low as
Brian,
0.
I told you this is very expensive.
And not expensive.
Don't argue with me. Why are you doing this? What do you care about the weather in fucking England for?
See, Australia.
Whatever.
It's not England.
Whatever, Brian. Why do you keep calling there?
I really, really like her voice.
No one has character development. Every character who's not a part of the core 3, like every single character, is only in one scene. Except for the girl who slits her wrists, who's kind of in a second one, but she's just in the background having Ben Affleck go like, yeah, I wish she was fucking dead.
And Lewis is also in a couple scenes.
Oh, yes. Lewis talks on phones in nondescript areas the whole movie.
Yeah, he's just randomly at a restaurant, and at one point the scene starts while he's just talking to people at the restaurant. Like, yeah, there's a pretty good dish there. And it's like, I guess the implication, my wife suggested he owns the restaurant, but I see nothing to support that.
He's always standing outside of like a restaurant, and then he goes to a payphone to talk to Larry.
Maybe he's just a cartoon fat guy. It's always possible.
They finally fucking bring Brian to the damn beach after Ben complains about it for an hour. They interact, and then JLo's like, goodbye, Brian. They're just ditching him here, which is fine. He's gonna get pit. Ben Affleck does call his brother to go, hey, your brother's at this location, okay? It's fine that they're leaving him here, probably. But it's just weird because they just talk to him. Brian kisses Ben Affleck on the mouth. It's kind of Affleck's like, what the fuck? And I don't know why that's there.
Oh yeah, I want to mention that Ben Affleck's mom kisses him on the mouth, and then J-Lo on the mouth as well. There's a lot of interesting mouth-to-mouth contact.
And then Ben Affleck clearly got something in his eye, like sand. And so his eye is closed and, like, puffed up the whole final interaction with Brian.
Looks like he's crying or something. But yeah, I think he just got some sand in there. But He was just like, nah, I'm fine. We can keep shooting, guys.
We've already done 5 fucking days of reshoot, so let's get this over with.
Yeah, and then Brian just walks onto set. There's nobody there to stop him. It's just open, and he just wanders into the crowd and, like, takes his jacket off or whatever, and then they have to pair up for whatever shot they're getting, because it's just, hot people dancing or whatever. The girl he gets paired up with, because there's no one around because everyone's already got partners, is a woman doing a terrible Australian accent, or is Australian and just has a gross accent. I don't know.
Nice weather we're having.
Yes, it's very nice.
It is?
Yes, but the weather's always very nice around here, isn't it?
Yes.
It's so weird because every part of it is depicted like he's gonna fuck her.
Even though it's just like he's wandered onto a set in completely wrong clothing with no one mentioning, and he's just playing as an extra on the show. But it's like, no, he's actually going to be successful in fucking this woman, which pays off a scene immediately preceding this when Ben teaches him how to hit on a woman, which feels like it was from a different part of the movie.
By telling him to ask the girl how the weather is.
You see a girl that you like that you're scared to talk to? Bro, step up. Go up to her and say, "Hi, how are you today? Nice weather we're having." And you take it from there, wherever the conversation goes.
Like, non-ironically, he says you should do that. Which he does, and then it seems to work.
Yeah, it seems to work. It seems that he's going to fuck him. And despite, having a ticking clock, they have to leave because the guy's brother is coming. They just sit there on the beach and watch for a little bit, completely non-suspiciously.
Yeah, it's just you can get reactions of Ben being like, "Well, what the fuck? He actually, that woman's talking to him."
Oh shit, he's talking to a girl? That's good for you.
This beep is gonna get some pussy?
Damn, I got some pussy. I didn't think he was gonna get some pussy.
Yeah, and Ben and J-Lo decide that their relationship would never work out, and then the movie ends. That's it. It ends about as well as our podcasts do. Really just amazing. But I think we covered pretty much everything that happens. Just slightly out of order, not that that matters.
No, because we told the end at the end and the beginning at the beginning, and everything in between, who the fuck knows?
Take it or leave it, man. That was Gigli. It's,
It rhymes with really.
As in really, really good movie.
For the whole family.
But no, seriously, if you have an interest in so bad they're good movies, like, you have to watch this.
Yeah, don't watch it alone, no matter what you do, because you're gonna be in hell.
Yeah, watch it with some people, laugh, and be uncomfortable together.
Be shocked that even though we've described in intimate detail how disturbing it is, it will still be more disturbing.
Yeah, we did not do it justice whatsoever.
Yeah, well, we weren't screaming the entire podcast.
You shut the fuck up!
Every single scene has a moment where someone tells someone to shut up.
It's like 1 in 3 lines of dialogue, or shut up, or shut the fuck up.
But, we're gonna shut up here because it's the end of the show. Another successful, brief episode of the Bargain Binge podcast. The hub for everything that we have, go to bargainbingepod.com. There you'll find links to various podcatchers, all the episodes themselves just on a feed. We've got shop items, we've got t-shirts and stickers with various links there. It's your one-stop shop for all your Bargain Binge needs. And believe me, folks, you need Bargain Binge. Yeah, follow us on social media at Bargain Binge Pod. We're on Instagram and Twitter. Next week, we have another Spotlight September film that we're very excited for. We're probably the biggest fans of all time of it.
Yeah. That's going to be a passionate episode.
And it's going to tie very much to this one, so you're not going to want to miss it if you heard this one. Until next week, the week after, and all weeks until the end of time, this has been the Bargain Binge Podcast. And I've been Dylan.
I've been Evan.
And I've been Aaron. And you see, after all is said and done, the only thing you can really be sure of, the only thing you can really count on in this world, is that you never really fucking know.
Was that a quote from the movie?
Is it?
It's the thing he says at the opening of the movie.
Oh, I forgot there was narration.
Yeah, it's the opening narration of the movie. And so it's you just never fucking know. I botched it too, so it's just we're just gonna end here.
All right, goodbye, folks.
Goodbye.
Where you going?
It's turkey time.
Huh?